What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. As always, this video is brought to you by NutriBio Supplements, Crystals, Bikinis, and Bio Longevity Labs. All of my codes and links for those sponsors will be in the description below. Today, I'm going to be doing a new segment where I am analyzing training clips that were sent to me. I'm going to be giving video feedback. I have a couple sample or example videos that will help. I even have a crude, childish looking drawing that might help. So I'm going to dive right into it. We got sent this chest press video here, dumbbell chest press. This guy looks really good. You can see how lean his quads are in this. You can tell that he's strong. These are some big fire hydrants here that he's pressing. So just two things looking at this. There's really, I think it looks really good. I think it's, from what I can tell, it's at an appropriate angle. It's not too high if the goal is the chest. There's two things that I see, and I'm just going to kind of run these in the background. This video is not square on, like if the camera was somewhere over here just shooting him square on, but I believe if it was, you would see that his wrists track pretty far inside of his elbows. And so what that means is there's more elbow flexion maybe than we would like. And so how that translates is that he's doing a lot of this work with his triceps. Of course, the chest is involved. The chest is probably still the main mover. It's just that the triceps are helping quite a bit here. So I wouldn't be surprised if, after some heavy presses like this, he ends up with some pretty sore triceps. Now, he may need that. He may be going for the most like bang for your buck. And that's the benefit of using big compound movements, is that there's a lot of things that are going to grow. But I think in terms of like more chest recruitment or more direct chest recruitment, there would be, his forearms would maintain a more 90-degree position to the upper arm. Now, I get the idea that he's trying to like touch it to his chest and show that he's going full range of motion. I think that's more applicable if you're using some type of bar or machine that comes all the way across, because it's almost like he's going into this position of elbow flexion just to reach the touch point of his chest. I also think, I'm going to run this again, I think that he is just a little bit too high and wide with his shoulders, especially on an incline press. That's going to lead to a lot of front delt, probably more than we want, or more than we were going for. Again, everything's going to grow. The chest is going to grow. The triceps, the front delts are all going to grow. But what is the main target? What do we want doing most of the work? I would assume how he's got this set up, the idea is doing it with your chest. So besides that, this could also potentially put you at more risk for an injury. And so I put together this silly little drawing here, but I hope that this helps. Picture if you were standing at the foot of where he's pressing, like if you were just standing over him, and the blue is his trunk, the red is his current elbow path or arm path, and the green signifies what could potentially be better. This actually would align better with the pec fibers and potentially initiate more stimulus directly with the chest. So, but otherwise, man, really good, strong guy. He looks really good. A lot to like about this, but again, you guys are sending these in to kind of be nitpicked a little bit, or maybe just pick out 1% that could make you better. And so that's my feedback there. All right, so this is actually one of my clients. This is my client Brandon. Brandon's a bodybuilder's bodybuilder, man. This kid is locked in and on the money with everything. Really, really good competitor. But we've recently, I wanted to take a look at some of his back training because it's the one area that is really next up in order for him to take a leap and be a powerhouse open bodybuilder. He's got pretty much everything else. And once that back becomes really dominant, he's going to be very, very tough to beat. So I was just taking a harder look at some of his back training here and seeing what we could improve. There was a lot that was good, but let's take a look at this. So this is an upper back pull down. I can't comment on like the elbow path or the hand positioning because it's from the side. But if I was square from behind here, you would just, similar to the last guy with the chest press, you don't want the wrists or fists tracking inside of the elbow. So that would look like this on the way down. In this example, that would be more bicep flexion that we want. And, you know, in his example, Brandon's got cannon arms. So that's definitely not what we want. We want to stay pretty wide. But the big thing that stands out to me here is just all of the torso movement. So there's just a lot of momentum right from right from rep one. If you're going to do this, you know, you have a pretty strict setup and set for, 6 to 10 reps to start. And then you want to do 2 cheat reps to really fully exhaust everything. That's totally fine. But from rep one, there's a big degree of swing. Like he gets fully under this bar to where he's basically perpendicular to the floor. And then he basically ends up at like what would be like a 45-degree angle. So a lot of this movement is coming from the lower back and the torso swing. So I have this example video of me, and this is the fix here. So, you get this like leaned back positioning, and whatever angle you're going to take with your torso or your upper body, you just lock it in place the entire time. You think about locking it in stone. That way the musculature of your back can do the pulling. And so like you'll notice like my head positioning, my chest positioning, it doesn't move. It doesn't swing back and forth. I'm just here and I let my back do all the work. Big full stretch and then explosive on the way down, control the way up, big full stretch and repeat. All right, so here's a leg extension video. Everyone knows that I'm very particular about how I want people doing these. So let's see it. All right, so right off the bat, this guy's got good legs, but this is just way, way too heavy. To me, I think leg extensions are a movement that we should be doing before our big compound leg movements, like a leg press, squat variation. And you should be using this as an opportunity to find somewhat lighter weights and let the technique of the movement drive the intensity near and to failure. I think this should be locked out hard to where your toes are above where your hips are, like a full lockout where you lock out the knee and then up at the top, because this is the only movement that actually gets the quads shortened. It's the only thing that is really able to load the quads in a shortened position. Like if you think about if you just stood upright with a locked out knee in a leg press or a squat, you could stand there all day. There's no tension at all. So I like a hard, aggressive squeeze for 2 or 3 seconds at the top, and then like a painful, deliberate negative, almost no time at the bottom. And then I'm driving back up with all the force that I have, and I'm following that same tempo or technique until driving up with a full speed effort. The reps slow basically to a stop, and you cannot complete one. That's how I take my leg extensions. So now with that in mind, you see that this guy is getting to a point where it's not even a full lockout, and it's simply because the load is just way too heavy. Like if I pause this when he's up at the top, like, you know, maybe he goes another 1/4 of an inch, but you see there's a clear downward angle from his knee down his shin. Instead of like a full lockout would be you pull your ass down into this seat and then you extend so high that your toes end up somewhere up here and you fucking squeeze that position hard, aggressively. You're not just holding it up there, you're squeezing it up there. Yeah, so this is just way too heavy. That's the simple truth of it. Okay. All right, so we have a single arm lat row here. And there's a couple things that need to be improved. So number one, you know, this angle kind of changes. But number one, you could see that he's rowing way beyond his torso. Right? And so if the idea is the lats, the upper arm would only get to be even with the torso and not beyond, because now when you drive your elbow beyond that, we're going to engage. You see this rear delt popping out. This trap is now involved. It basically that's the ideal end position of an upper back row, is we want our elbows as far beyond our torso as possible. So this is actually an example, at least on the pull itself or in the shortened position, the range of motion needs to be shortened. You also see he's kind of got this like leaned back positioning and a neutral spine, or even spinal flexion where you're almost hunched over or crunched, for lack of a better term, is better for the lats, better for the low lats. And then lastly, you see, you know, like we talked about before, his wrist is tracking up inside his elbow. So I drew this line here. This is a line. This is the cable, the line of pull, and you see it ends up well inside his elbow instead of being perfectly even along his forearm. And so again, this is just more bicep flexion than we want, or elbow flexion that we want. And it's going to make the biceps a limiting factor. Basically, that means he is going to fail sooner with his bicep as a main mover than he would have with his back as a main mover. So that's just going to limit the performance. So that's all I have for this one, guys. Let me know if you want to see more. Let me know if you want feedback on your training. You can Instagram direct message me your videos. I'm at jperch, and I will see you guys next time.